Good morning, everyone. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Okay, so this session we shall discuss slope of the tangent line and derivative of a function. Okay, let me ask you, what comes into your mind if you hear of the word derivative? What's your idea of a derivative? Anyone? Derivative of a function. I'm sure this is not your first time to encounter the word derivative. You have dealt with derivative in the past. Floruel said pinanggalingan. Derivative. Any other idea? Derivative of a function. And what are some of the implications of derivative? Geometric interpretation of derivative of a function. Anybody else? Anything more? Derivative, pinanggalingan. Any other idea? Any other idea about derivative? Derivative of a function? Wala na? Sige, tingnan natin later kung ano ba talaga ang derivative of a function. Now, before root. Somebody responded root po, ma'am. Felicio. Root. Sige, tingnan natin kung ano ba talaga ang meaning ng derivative of a function. Okay. So, let's first recall the difference between a secant line and a tangent line. So, this is our takeoff. We shall derive or define derivative from these concepts. Okay? The slope of the tangent line and the slope of the secant line. Now, first of all, what's the difference between a secant line and a tangent line? What's the difference between a secant line and a tangent line? Secant and a tangent. Anyone? Okay, the difference between a secant line and a tangent line. Any idea? Okay, so let me label. Can you see the drawing? I have two figures here. Let the first be A, because I did not label it. Let this be A, and let the second be B. So I'd like you to choose. Which between the two shows a secant line? Shane said secant, 2 points, while tangent has only 1 point. Okay, you have an idea. What do we mean by having 2 points and having 1 point? So which of the two shows a secant line? Secant line first. Is it A or B? Is it A or B? Tangent line is isang point lang na-touch yung circle, ma'am. Okay, that's according to Jaisel. So you mean referring to letter B? So is letter B a tangent, or this line, the red line, okay, is a tangent line? You all agree? This shows a tangent line. How about letter A? Okay, most of you answered letter A as the secant line. Okay. So how then shall we describe a secant line and contrast it to a tangent line? Sabi nyo nga, as what Jaisel said, the tangent line touches the circle at one and only 1 point, just like what is shown in letter B. So a line that crosses the graph A line is tangent to a curve. A line is tangent to a curve if it touches the curve at one and only one point. Therefore, this line here is an example of a tangent line. Whereas when we speak of a secant line intersects the curve at 2 points. So obviously, the red line here, this red line crosses or intersects the curve or the function, the function f of x, the function y equal to f of x at two distinct points. And what are they? Points P and Q. So that clearly distinguishes between a secant line and a tangent line. So once more, secant line crosses the graph, crosses the curve, crosses the graph of the function f of x at 2 points. Whereas the tangent line, the tangent line touches the curve or the graph at one and only 1 point. Okay, so that's the difference between a secant line and a tangent line. Now, okay, so PQ then is a secant line. It's a secant line or a line that passes through any 2 points on a curve, P and Q. So in this case, the function or the line PQ, this is how we denote a line. Line PQ intersects or crosses the curve at point P and point Q. Now, let's assign coordinates of the point. Let point P, let point P. Can you see this part? Taas natin. Saglit ay taas ko. Okay? Okay, I think that's better. So, let point P, or should I say, let the coordinates of point B be x sub naught, x naught, fx naught, or x sub O, f of x sub O. Okay, so this is a point on the graph. Let me label this point to be the point x sub O, f of x sub O, or x naught, f of x naught. That's another way of reading it. And let point Q be the point x sub 1, f of x sub 1. So the coordinates of point Q are x sub 1 and f of x sub 1. Okay? Now, if I would ask you to determine the slope of the secant line or of line PQ, we could easily find the slope. Okay? Find the slope, M. The slope of line PQ. Okay? The slope of the line, can you remember the concept of a slope? What do we understand by slope? What's your idea of a slope? Slope refers to the steepness. Okay? Steepness, or we often say the rise over the run. Okay? The rise over the run. So the slope of PQ then is equal to slope. How do we denote slope? We make use of M. Okay? M to symbolize or to represent slope. The slope of the secant line PQ, what will it be? Using these 2 points on the line, which are also points on the curve. Okay? Let me check on the next. Ayan. Okay, let's make use of the next slide. What is the slope of line PQ or the secant line PQ? Once again, this has the coordinates x naught, f of x naught, And this point has the coordinates x sub 1, f of x sub 1. Question is, what's the slope of PQ? Okay? Take note once again that m refers to slope is equal to delta y over delta x. Yes? Change in y over change in x. Okay? Or y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So here, the 2 points are, okay, the 2 points are points P and Q. And P has the coordinates x naught, f of x naught, x1, and Q, the coordinates are x sub 1 and f of x sub 1. Okay? So, now we have 2 points. We could easily find the slope. The slope of the secant line PQ then is given by our y sub 2. Okay? Y sub 2 is f of x sub 1. That's it. Minus our y sub 1 is f of x naught. Okay? All over x sub 2 is in fact x sub 1 minus x sub 1 is x naught. Okay? Or we can express, okay, x sub 1 minus x naught to be change in x from here. Okay? Change in x is equal to our second x value, which is x sub 1, and the first x value, which is x sub 0. So that's it. Delta x is equal to x sub 1 minus x sub 0. X sub 1 minus x naught, or x sub 0. So we can therefore rewrite this as f of, so from here, if I, applying addition property of equality, if I subtract x sub o or add x sub o on both sides, then what is x sub 1 equal to? From here, delta x, ayan, if I add xo on both sides, x naught or xo plus delta x is equal to x sub 1. Okay? So, replacing x sub 1, I'm going to change x sub 1 with this expression, x naught plus delta x minus, okay, from here, once more, instead of writing f of x sub 1, I will replace x sub 1, okay, with, or substitute x sub 1 with the equivalent expression x sub o or x naught plus delta x. Okay, so here we have the slope of the secant line PQ is equal to f of x naught plus delta x minus x naught all over, and instead of this, I will be using delta x. Okay, over delta x. So this gives the slope of the secant line. So for secant line, there is no problem identifying the slope because, okay, it crosses the function at 2 points. Okay, it touches the curve in 2 points. And remember that to solve for slope, we need 2 points. So it's easy finding the slope of the secant line. How about the tangent line? Okay, what about the tangent line? Suppose I'd like to determine the slope of the line tangent to the same function at point P. Okay, so kunwari may tangent line at point P. So let me draw that. A tangent line touches the curve at one and only one point. So it should cross or it should touch the graph at point P alone, although it's not straight, pero something like this. Okay? Saglit. Okay, or tanggalin na lang muna natin ito. Ano bang mas manipis? Gawin lang natin manipis. Okay. And let's name this as line L. Okay? So let L be a tangent line. Let L be a tangent line. Okay, line tangent to, let the line L be a line tangent to the same function f of x at point P. Okay, at point P. But we cannot possibly compute for the slope of the tangent line because we only know of one point, and that's point P. So, that's the problem. How shall we compute for the slope of the tangent line? Now, we have here, let Q get closer and closer to point P. Q, where is point Q? Ito si Q, di ba? It's a point on the secant line. Remember a while ago that the secant line contains the points P and Q. Now, we try to draw the secant line so that point Q here gets closer and closer and closer to point P, so that the distance between the two will be very, very close to 0. Yan, delta x. Delta x is this distance, remember? Okay? Delta x. Ito yan. Kasi kanina sabi natin si delta x is equal to x sub 1 minus x sub naught or x naught or x sub 0. So ito yon. So what shall we do? We draw Q such that it gets closer and closer and closer to point P. Kaya meron ito. Q approaches P. Q gets closer to P. X sub 1, ito, gets closer to x naught or to x sub 0. Paliit ng paliit yung distansya nila. Kaya meron to. Delta x approaches 0. Delta x gets closer and closer to 0. The distance between the two lines is so minute. It approaches 0. Okay? Ito yan. Pareho pala. Ayun. So, looking at the graph now. Si Q, di ba, nandito siya dati? What happens if we draw it so that it is very, very, very close to point P? Ayun, what happens to the distance between the two? It approaches 0. I hope you can get the point because from here, we shall derive a formula that gives the slope of the tangent line because that is our goal. Our goal is to find the slope of the tangent line from the slope of the secant line because that's all we have, points P and Q. And these 2 points are points of the secant line. So we can draw our secant line such that it is very, very, very close to the tangent line. So let me show you a video so that you can at least visualize what I'm trying to say. Ito. Can you see this? Yan. So we will draw our tangent line or the secant line such that it gets very, very close to the tangent line. Ulit. Okay, ulitin natin. What's happening here? This line is the black line is the secant line. And we want at line tangent to the curve C. Mamaya, pause muna natin. Let's identify first the parts of the graph. C here is the curve. Okay, C. C yung curve, the red line, the red curve. Bakit ayaw niya mag-pause? Okay. A, M are points on C, and we want a tangent at point A. Look. Oh, that's the idea. Okay? That's the idea. So, from PQ, a while ago, Q was here. We try to draw the tangent line, or secant line rather, yung PQ, such that it gets closer and closer to the tangent line, which is our line L. What happens? Okay, Let Q get closer and closer to P, just the same. Line PQ will approach line L. Okay? Line PQ, di ba nandito si Q kanina? And if we, okay, draw Q such that it gets closer and closer to P, then it approaches the line, the secant line approaches the tangent line L. I hope you can follow. Line PQ will approach the line L. Yan. Therefore, the slope of line L, which is in fact the tangent line, is equal to the limit, okay? The limit of the slope of the secant line, okay? The slope of the tangent line L is equal to the limit of the slope of the secant line. May I use SL na lang, secant line, as delta x approaches 0. Okay? The slope of the tangent line, therefore, is equal to the limit of the slope of the secant line as delta x approaches 0. Okay? So here we have the slope of the tangent line L is equal to the limit of f of x sub 1 minus f of x naught all over delta x. Ito yung delta x natin. As x sub 1 gets closer and closer to x naught, or as the distance between the two is so small that it gets closer and closer to almost nothing, almost negligible. Okay, so recall once again from our previous slide or from the previous part that delta x is equal to x sub 1 minus x sub 0. Therefore, in the formula, we could replace x sub 1 with delta x, or should I say x naught plus delta x. Okay, and x sub 1 minus x naught as delta x. This is therefore the slope of the tangent line. Okay, so the slope of the tangent line is given by this formula now. Slope of the tangent line is equal to the limit of, this in fact is the slope of your secant line. Remember, this is the slope of the secant line from, sana yung ating una-una. Ayan. Okay, the slope of the secant line. Let me highlight ito. This is in fact the slope of the secant line. So the slope of the tangent line then is equal to the limit of the slope of the secant line. Okay? Yan. So the slope of the tangent line is equal to the limit of, this is the slope of the secant line as delta x approaches 0. The tangent line L is called, or the line L rather, is called the tangent line to the graph of the function at point P. Okay? At point P. So, what then is, okay, that's it, the slope of the tangent line, using the limit of the slope of the secant line. So, by definition then, the function f is defined on an open interval containing x equal to x naught. Then the tangent line to the graph of f at the point x naught, f of x naught is the line. The tangent line is the line passing through point P, okay, point P, and whose slope is given by the limit of the slope of the secant line, or f of x naught plus delta x minus f of x naught all over delta x as delta x approaches 0, provided that this limit exists. Okay? With the equation x equal to x naught, then, okay, x approaches 0 from the left and the right. Okay, existence, you know this already. If, yan. Kung positive infinity, negative infinity, negative infinity. Yan. Otherwise, there is no tangent line to the graph at f at point P. Okay, so please do not forget that the slope of the tangent line is equal to the limit of the slope of the secant line. Okay, and recall also that to find the equation of the tangent line, so from going back to the previous slide, point P, the tangent line passes through point P. We now have a point, and the slope we could determine by using the formula. Okay, by using this formula, limit of f of x naught plus delta x minus f of x naught all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. So if you are asked to find the equation of the tangent line, then you can simply make use of the point slope form. Okay, recall your point slope form. M here the slope, and x sub 0, y sub 0 is a point on the line. Okay, a point on the line. So let's apply the formula and the definition in problem number 1. Problem number 1 says find the equation of the tangent line to y equal to x squared at x is equal to 2. Question, what kind of function is y equal to x squared? What kind of function is y equal to x squared? Anyone? Y equal to x squared or f of x equal to x squared is, what type of function is it? It's quadratic. Yes? So it's a quadratic function. So how would the graph look like? How would the graph of the, yes, quadratic function, how would the graph look like? Can you picture it out? Can you visualize y equal to x squared? Anyone? Y equal to x squared. Okay, it's a parabola that opens upward and vertex is at the point of origin. Yes? Yes, so it's a parabola that opens upward and whose vertex is at the point of origin. Now, how shall we make use of the formula that we have just derived? What are we going to find? Equation of the tangent line to this curve at x equal to 2. Okay, x is equal to 2. Now, by the way, if we go back, okay, so we have derived the equation a while ago. The slope of the tangent line is equal to the limit of f of x naught plus delta x minus f of x naught, x sub 0, or x naught over delta x as delta x approaches 0. So if x is equal to x naught, then we could rewrite this also as the slope of the tangent line is equal to the limit of, if x is equal to x naught, then f of x plus delta x minus f of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. But for some other authors, instead of delta x, they made use of h. Okay, so please do not get confused if you encounter, okay, this formula in some other books. The limit of f of x plus h, merong ganyan, minus f of x all over h as h approaches 0. Okay? So, what's the difference? Ito lang, yung representation lang nila, delta x and h. Remember that delta x is this. Let's go back to the illustration. Saan galing yung delta x? Para hindi nyo makalimutan, ito. Ito yun. Ito yung distansya nitong dalawa. If this gets closer and closer to 0, yung line PQ natin na secant line approaches the tangent line. Kasi dito si tangent line eh. Si tangent line crosses the function only at P. Si secant line crosses the function at 2 points P and Q. So that when the distance between the two is very, very close to 0, yan, delta x approaches 0, then the slope of the tangent line is equal to the limit of the slope of the secant line. So that's where the formula came from. Okay? That's how the formula was arrived at or derived. So we could use either h or delta x. Okay, so going back to the problem asks us to determine the equation of the tangent line to the curve y equal to x squared at x is equal to 2. Okay, so let's continue. The function given is y is equal to x squared at x is equal to 2. What are we going to find? Equation of the tangent line. Okay? Equation of the tangent line. And going back, what is required for us to compute for the equation or for us to find the equation of the tangent line? We need a point on the line and the slope of the line. Okay? A point on the line we could identify because anyway here we have an x value identified. Okay? So we have xo, y sub 0. We could find y anyway from here. But the problem is the slope. Okay, now, what is x sub o, y sub o? By the way, this is our x sub o. X is equal to 2 and y sub o, you only have to evaluate, okay, the function at x is equal to 2 to get y. So if x is equal to 2 at x equals 2, y is equal to 2 squared, which is equal to 4. Which means a point on the line and on the function is 2, 4. Okay, so now we have a point. All we need to find out is the slope. From where? How shall we get the slope now? Using the formula that we have just derived. Okay, the slope of the tangent line, MTL, is equal to the limit of f of x plus delta x minus f of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. But what is this? What is f of x plus delta x? Okay? And what about f of x? F of x is the function given. So, our f of x here is the function x squared. Okay? And our f of x plus delta x is equal to, okay, evaluate the function at x plus delta x. We simply have to replace x with x plus delta x, okay, raised to the second power. You get it? Okay? So, the slope of the tangent line is equal to the limit of x plus delta x squared minus x squared all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay, so let's continue. Expanding this binomial, if we expand this binomial, what does it give us? Binomial expansion by binomial expansion. This gives limit of x squared plus, remember, squaring a binomial, the square of the first plus twice the product of the first and the second plus the square of the second term. Okay? Minus, okay, x squared all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. I hope you can follow. From where did we get this? From where did we get this? This is after expanding this binomial. Okay, by binomial expansion, it will give this. Okay, now, are there terms which could be combined? We could combine x squared and negative x squared. If we put them together, what will it be? 0. So, what's left? What is left? Okay, let's copy. Limit of, okay, x squared plus 2x delta x, okay, plus delta x squared minus x squared all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay, so this is now our slope of the tangent line. But we're not done yet. We, okay, continue simplifying it. X squared with negative x squared will cancel out, leaving, okay, limit of 2x plus delta x, sorry, 2x times pala. 2x delta x plus delta x squared all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay. However, we cannot also do direct substitution here because that would give 0 over 0 because of the factor delta x on both numerator and denominator. So we have to, okay, factor out. Take note that delta x is common to both numerator and denominator, so we cancel it, or should I say factor out delta x in the numerator, 2x plus delta x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Then from here, we cancel out common factor in the numerator and denominator, which is delta x, leaving, okay, leaving limit of 2x plus delta x as delta x approaches 0. Can we evaluate now? Okay, evaluating the limit of the quantity 2x plus delta x, limit of a sum is equal to sum of the limits. Limit of 2x as delta x approaches 0 plus the limit of delta x as delta x approaches 0. What have you learned about your, okay, limits? Limit theorem says, look, what will this be? Can you evaluate the first? Limit of 2x as delta x approaches 0. What will this be? Anyone? Limit of 2x as delta x approaches 0. Why 2x? Why 2x? Why not 2 times 0? Bakit hindi 2 times 0? Marnell said 2x is right. Correct. Bakit hindi 0? You're right. Correct. 2x yun. Okay, bakit kaya? Ito, look. The variable. Look at the variable. Ito, delta x. Ito, x. So, this must be considered a constant. Okay? So, this is considered a constant. And from limit theorem, limit of a constant is the constant itself. Magkaiba yun ha. Iba kasi kapag limit of 2x as x approaches 0, 0 yan. Kasi look at this. I want you to particularly pay attention to this. Yan, x, x. Okay? So ito will be 2 times 0, which is 0. But this is a different case. Okay? Constant. Oh, yes, you're right. Okay? This is regarded as a constant because here we have delta x approaches 0. Wala namang delta x dito, wala kang isa-substitute, and therefore, its limit is 2x itself. Okay? So, the limit of 2x as delta x approaches 0 is 2x, and the limit of delta x as delta x approaches 0 is 0. So, plus 0. Okay? So, finally, we can say limit of the tangent line, or sorry, slope of the tangent line is equal to 2x. Okay, but we're not done yet. Remember, the problem asked for equation. Okay, at what then is the slope of the tangent line? Okay, tangent line at x equal to 2. So, the slope of the tangent line at x equal to 2 is simply, from here, you substitute x with 2. So, from here, you will have, okay, 2 times 2. M is equal to 4. So now we have a slope. Meron na tayong slope. And then a while ago, we have identified a point which is 2, 4. So we are ready to determine the equation of the tangent line using the point-slope form. Okay, the point-slope form. Okay, the point-slope form, y minus y sub 0 equal to m times x minus x sub 0. So, y minus 4, bakit hindi ko in-enclose? Okay, point yan. So, this one is a point on the line, and this is the slope of the tangent line. Okay, so y minus 4 equal to the slope, which is 4 times x minus 2. Okay? Simplifying it further, y minus 4 equal to 4x minus 8. So, y is equal to 4x minus 4. Okay? So, this is now the final answer. So, this is the equation, equation of the tangent line. Okay? At x equal to 2. Okay, I have to specify because if I would ask you find the equation of the line tangent to the curve y equal to x squared at x equal to 1, ay iba pa rin yun. Kasi iba na naman yung point of intersection or point of tangency. So in that case, the point of tangency will be the point 1, 1. But in this case, the point of tangency is the point 2, 4. Or point of tangency refers to the point at which the line crosses the curve. Okay? So we have to be very specific. This is the equation of the tangent line at x equal to 2. So I hope you understood this. Any question? So if I say find the slope of the, or find the equation of the line tangent to the same curve at x equal to 1, then that would mean the point will be 1 and 1 squared, 1, 1. And all you have to do is to apply this formula. Now we proceed to the next. Problem number 2. So we're done with example number 1. Okay? Don't you worry, I'm going to send the solutions to the problems. I'm going to upload this in Lens. Okay. Because my slides are devoid of solutions. Okay? Next, example number 2. Find the equation of the line tangent to the function f of x equal to the square root of x at x is equal to 9. Okay? F of x equal to the square root of x at x is equal to 9. Paano kaya ito? And again, we need the slope and a point on the line. Okay, the slope rather, and a point on the line. So first, let's identify a point on the line. So at x equal to 9, what is f of 9? F of 9 will be square root of 9, which is equal to 3. So, one point on the graph then is the point 9, 3. Okay, 9, 3. Okay, you're right. Dexter said 9, 3. Now, we are ready to find the slope of the tangent line. Okay, now we are to find slope of the tangent line, which is equal to, what's our formula? Once again, limit of f of x plus delta x minus f of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay? If your f of x is equal to the square root of x, then what is f of x plus delta x? So, ano yan? What will this be? Substitute nyo lang, palitan nyo lang si x nito. Okay? Palitan nyo lang si x ng
It's 11
x
o'clock.
plus delta x. So, square root of, what will it be? X plus delta x. Okay, so let's simplify or substitute rather. This will be limit of the square root of x plus delta x minus the square root of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay, the question is how shall we simplify this? Okay, this is the problem now. How shall we simplify this? Any idea? A while ago, when we had the quadratic function x squared, we simply expanded the binomial. After that, combined like terms, then factored out and cancel out common factors if there are common factors in the numerator and the denominator. Rationalize. Okay, very good. Marinel said rationalize, or Marnel rather. Sorry. Limit of, we still have space here, the square root of x plus delta x minus the square root of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. When we rationalize, what do we mean? And how do we go about rationalizing this expression? Any idea? Rationalize. Okay, what are we going to rationalize? The numerator. We shall rationalize the numerator, and that means we have to multiply, okay? Multiply it by its conjugate. Please do not forget algebra. Okay, lagay natin dito. Kamay. Okay. So, rationalize. Let's write that here. Rationalize the numerator by multiplying by its conjugate. Rationalize the numerator, we mean if we have a minus b, or square root of a minus square root of b, then what shall I multiply this with? The square root of a plus the square root of b. Okay, and what's the product? What's the product? A minus b. Yes? Saan galing yan? From the special? Remember your special products? Special products. So, kaya nga, do not forget your algebra. Okay? Special products, x minus y times x plus y. The sum and difference of, okay? The sum and difference is equal to the square of the first minus the square of the second. So, if I have square root of a minus square root of b multiplied by square root of a plus the square root of b, then that's the same as the square root of a squared minus the square root of b squared, or simply a minus b. Okay, and how do we call the two? They are like what Dexter said, we have the word conjugate. Okay, conjugate. So, slope of the tangent line then is equal to the limit of the square root of x plus delta x minus the square root of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. So, now we rationalize. Multiply it by the conjugate, the square root of x plus delta x, this time plus square root of x. Okay? But we have to do the same with the denominator. Remember, this is a fraction. Okay? The square root of x plus delta x plus the square root of x. Okay? What will this be? What will the product be? Limit of, okay, that will now eliminate the radical sign on the numerators. Yes? So, it will now be x plus delta x, okay, minus x all over delta x times the square root of x plus delta x. Bakit ang haba? Minus, or sorry, plus the square root of x, okay, as delta x approaches 0. Okay, let's simplify further. Further simplification would yield what? What happens to x minus x? Cancel out. N. O, tingnan nyo kung anong naiwan sa numerator. Limit of delta x all over delta x times the square root of x plus delta x plus the square root of x as delta x approaches 0. Okay? So, anong gagawin natin dyan? Any idea? Anong gagawin natin dito? Limit of what? Anong mangyayari? Okay? Yan. We cancel this out. Okay? What is left in the numerator then? 1 all over the square root of x plus delta x plus the square root of x. Okay? As delta x approaches 0. I hope you can still read that. Nadagdag pa tayo ng page kasi hindi na kaya. Okay, let's continue. Limit of 1 over the square root of x plus delta x plus the square root of x as delta x approaches 0. This is the slope of the tangent line. We're not done yet. We now have to evaluate. So after evaluating, what will this be? We don't have to write the word limit. Okay? No more because we are now in the process of evaluating the limit. Okay, look at our variable. Here we have delta x. Okay, delta x. So ito regarded as a constant. This is regarded as a constant. Please do not forget that x is regarded as a constant, but this we could substitute with what? With 0. Therefore, this becomes 1 all over the square root of x plus, what is delta x? Delta x approaches, yan, plus 0. So, I would write here plus 0 plus, this is again regarded as a constant, so plus the square root of x. Finally, slope of the tangent line is equal to 1 over square root of x plus square root of x is 1 over 2 square root of x. Okay? 1 over 2 square root of x, but we're not done yet. Remember, we need slope of the equation of the tangent line. So we have identified a point a while ago, and that point is 9, 3. How about the slope of the tangent line at x equal to 9? 1 over 6 said Joel. So tingnan natin. The slope equal to 1 over 2 times the square root of 9. Correct. 1, 6. So the slope is equal to 1 over 6. So this is the point now, and m equal to 1 over 6. We now continue by looking for the equation y minus y sub 0 equal to m times x minus x sub 0. Or x sub 1, y sub 1, it's up to you. These are representations anyway. Y minus 3 is equal to 1 over 6 times x minus, y minus, tama, 9. Okay, and then you can simplify. Simplifying this, you'll get 6y minus 18 is equal to x, okay, minus 9, which is x minus 6y, correct? X minus 6y plus 9 equals 0. So, in the general form. X minus, am I right? Can you check please? X minus 6y, okay, tama. Plus 9 equals 0. So, I hope this is understood. Did you understand this? Okay, can you follow? Can you follow? Shall we proceed to example number 3? This is now problem number 2. Okay, problem number 3. Yes daw. Very good. Ito naman. Find the equation of the line tangent to the graph of f of x equal to 1 over x at x is equal to 2. At x is equal to 2. Paano kaya ito? Okay, yes. You try this first. F of x is equal to 1 over x at x is equal to 2. Let's check on number. Okay. I think I will leave example number 3 as part of your exercises na lang. And then you give me correct answer, I'll tell you. Or give me your answer, I'll tell you whether it's right or wrong. So that we could proceed to the next because it's 11:10. Maubos na ang data nyo. Okay, so why did we start, by the way, on equation or slopes of the tangent line? Because in fact, one geometric interpretation of the concept of derivative is the slope of the tangent line. Okay? So when we speak then of derivative of a function, we mean the slope of the tangent line. That's one geometric implication. Okay? So by now, you can say now that the derivative of a function is the slope of the line tangent to the function. So here, the figure shows a car which can go from 0 to 200 mph in 14.51 seconds. Bakit kaya yun? Okay, anong significance naman yan sa konsepto ng derivative? Okay? So ito yung one of the fastest cars in the world. In 2014, it reached a record-setting speed of 270.49 mph. And it can go from 0 to 200 mph in 14.51 seconds. So this chapter, we will be using derivative to calculate acceleration, velocity, particularly ito, acceleration of the venom. Then calculating velocity and changes in velocity are one of the important uses of calculus. Okay? So, but it's very important in all branches of mathematics, okay, in science, in engineering, and it's also very critical in analysis, business analysis, health as well. So we will explore main tools of calculus, particularly the derivative, and show convenient ways to calculate the derivative of functions by applying rules and some techniques, variety of techniques. Okay, next. Who are these two prominent people when we speak of calculus? Calculus? Sino tong mga ito kaya? Okay? Si Newton at saka si Leibniz are credited with developing calculus independently. Okay? So, ito si Newton at saka si Leibniz. So, most mathematicians agree that calculus was developed independently by English mathematician, scientist Isaac Newton and Gottfried Leibniz. German. English ito, siya German. Okay? Newton and Leibniz were given credit for developing calculus. We are really referring to the fact that Newton and Leibniz were the first to understand the relationship between derivative and integral. Derivative and integral are inverses of each other. Differentiation and integration are opposites. Okay, to differentiate, and then to integrate. Okay, both mathematicians benefited from the work of predecessors, okay, like Fermat, Cavalieri, Barrow, and so on. The initial relationship between the two mathematicians appear to have been amicable. However, in later years, bitter controversy erupted over whose work took preference. Sino bang nauna kaya? Or precedence, I should say. Sinong nauna? Who's who? Okay? Si Newton ba o si Leibniz? So, although it seems likely that Newton did, okay? Indeed, the ideas arrived behind, okay, should I say, we also are indebted to Leibniz for the notation we commonly use today. Okay? So, a bit of history of derivatives. So, when we speak of derivatives, then we mean the geometric interpretation, the slope of the tangent line. Okay? The slope of the tangent line. Ayan, the definition of derivative. Sige, ma-identify nyo kung saan galing ito. Di ba ito yung ating slope of tangent line kanina, pero ang gamit lang h and h, yung sa atin delta x. Okay, so this may vary depending upon the author. Delta x, this could also be, okay, delta x. So, derivative of f of x with respect to x is denoted as, this is the notation f prime of x. Okay, so if I say then, find the slope of the tangent line of the function f of x, then you can say, that's f prime of x. Okay, how is this read? F prime of x. Okay, and it's defined as f prime of x, so I'm not using any more slope of the tangent line, but the notation f prime of x equal to the limit of f of x plus delta x, or h, okay, minus f of x over h, or delta x, as h approaches 0. Okay? So, for y equal to f of x, y is differentiable function of x, we may write the derivative in this manner. Pwedeng y prime, f prime of x, or dy over dx. Okay? Derivative of y with respect to x. Ito yon. How do we read this? Derivative of y with respect to x, or how about this? How do we read this? Y prime, and this is f prime of x. If we have a function y equal to h of t, okay, y is differentiable function of t, then dy over dt. Derivative of y with respect to the variable t, or h prime of t. If we have u equal to g of x, u is differentiable function of x, then du over dx, or derivative of u with respect to x, or g prime of x. If we have a equal to f of r, where a is differentiable function of r, then derivative of a with respect to r is equal to f prime of r. So these are the different notations, or symbols rather, for derivative. Okay. So therefore, if I say find f prime of x and f prime of 2, we can now go back to our definition. By definition, f prime of x is equal to, okay, f prime of x is equal to the limit of f of x plus delta x. I prefer using delta x na for consistency, minus f of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. How do we call this once again? This is now the derivative of the function. Okay? Derivative of the function. So now let's proceed to finding f prime of x. Okay, so f prime of x is equal to the limit of, okay, f of x plus delta x. We simply have to substitute x with this, x with this. So what will this be? The limit of 3 times x plus delta x squared minus 4 times x plus delta x, okay, plus 1 minus, okay, and close in a pair of parentheses, 3x squared minus 4x plus 1 all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay? What will this be? Saan galing ito? Saan galing ito? Yan. Okay? At saan naman galing dito sa original function? Sulat natin. Okay, sulat muna natin yung original function. Okay, so the original function given is f of x equal to 3x squared plus 4x, minus. Okay? Minus 4x plus 1. So, kung f of x plus delta x, then 3 times substitute or replace x squared or x rather with this. Okay, so this will be times x plus delta x raised to the second power kasi nga squared ito. Next, minus 4 times x plus delta x plus 1. So, itong buo. Okay? Lahat ito. Yung unang parte ng numerator natin. Ayan. Okay, can you see this? Yan, 3 times the quantity x plus delta x squared minus 4 plus x, 4 times the quantity x plus delta x plus 1. Ito yun, itong parte. Minus f of x. So, minus yung original na function. Okay? All over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay, let's simplify further. Okay, simplifying it further. Okay, so f prime of x, which is the derivative, is equal to the limit of, once more, 3 times the quantity x plus delta x squared minus 4 times x plus delta x plus 1 minus the quantity 3x squared minus 4x plus 1 all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Let's expand. Okay? Simplify. This gives limit of 3 times, expand the binomial, x squared plus 2x delta x plus delta x squared. Okay, let's use the proper notation. Okay. Minus, okay, 3x squared, what happens? Plus 4x minus 1. Okay, all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay, let's continue. Limit of multiplying it with 3 gives 3x squared plus 6x delta x plus 3 delta x squared minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 1. Okay? All over delta x as delta x approaches 0. I'm sorry, we failed to include this. Meron tayong nakaligtaan, this part. Okay, so let me erase this first. We shall erase this part first. So, minus, which part did we fail to include? Ito. Okay, minus, and here also in the second. Okay, may I erase this first? Minus 4 times the quantity x plus delta x plus 1 minus 3x squared plus 4x plus 1. I think this is complete now. Okay, minus, okay, minus 4x minus 4 delta x, okay, plus 1 minus 3x squared plus 4x plus 1 over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Any terms that can be cancelled out? We could cancel out Okay, very good. This one, we overlook natin to. This, na-overlook natin yan. This should be, okay, this is supposed to be negative 1. Very good. Minus 1, minus 1. Okay, next. We can, yan, cancel this out. Saan pa? This one with this, positive 1 with negative 1. So what do we have? What's left? What is left? Okay, we have to be very careful in identifying what's left here. Ito, di ba? 6x delta x at saka ito. Ano pa? Ito. Okay? So let's write them down. We have 6x plus delta x, times 6x delta x plus 3 delta x squared minus 4 delta x as over delta x as delta x approaches 0. I hope you can follow. And then what's next from here? We factor out limit of, nakikita ba ninyo o hindi? Okay, limit of, okay, bring out delta x. You have 6x plus 3 delta x minus 4. Correct? All over, okay, delta x as delta x approaches 0. And then from here, we could cancel this out. What is left? Okay, limit of, what's left? Limit of 6x plus 3 delta x minus 4, okay, as delta x approaches 0. Okay, evaluate. What can you say about limit of 6x? Okay, limit of 6x as delta x approaches 0 is 6x itself. Diba? Tama? 6x. And then limit of, okay, limit of 3 delta x as delta x approaches 0. May factor ito na 0, kaya 0. Next, limit of negative 4 as delta x approaches 0. What is it equal to? Limit of negative 4 as delta x approaches 0. What will it be? I mean, limit of negative 4 as delta x approaches 0. What will it be? Limit of a constant, once again, is the constant itself, 6x minus 4. Okay, so this is the derivative. Before we say f prime of x is equal to 6x minus 4. So you're right, Jaisel and Marnell. Okay, 6x minus 4. Are we done? Tingnan natin, balikan natin. Ano yung problem? Find. Okay, let's go back to the problem. What is it asking for? F prime of x. So we're done. F prime of x, we found it to be 6x minus 4. And letter B, what is f prime of 2? So ano lang yan? Evaluate lang natin. Okay? So this is in fact our letter A. F prime of x is equal to 6x minus 4. Letter B asks for f prime of 2. So how shall we get this? F prime of 2 will simply be 6 times 2 minus 4, which is equal to, what will this be? F prime of 2 is equal to, what is it equal to? This is 12 minus 4 is 8. Okay? F prime of 2 is equal to 8. Any questions here? You have any questions here? Okay, so this is the derivative. Okay, derivative of a function. Next, can you do this by yourself also? for f of x is equal to the square root of x minus 1, find f prime of 1. We shall stop here, and the rest will be for exercises. I'm going to post the list of problems in Lens. Okay? For f of x equal to the square root of x minus 1, find f prime of 1. I think we could answer this together na lang so that we won't take much of our time. Okay, so f prime of x is equal to, once again, by definition, the derivative is equal to the limit of f of x plus delta x minus f of x all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay, so f prime of x is equal to limit of what happens? The square root of x plus delta x minus 1 minus the square root of x minus 1 all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. Okay? Remember the technique that we made use of a while ago? If it involves the radical sign, we rationalize the numerator and the denominator. The square root of x plus delta x minus 1, we rationalize the numerator, I should say, sorry. Okay, plus the square root of x minus 1. We multiply the conjugate in the numerator, both numerator and denominator. Delta x, bakit parang 4 na siya? Delta x minus 1 plus the square root of x minus 1. Okay, let's continue. Limit of, upon multiplication, this will give x plus delta x minus 1 minus x minus 1 all over delta x times the square root of x plus delta x minus 1 plus square root of x minus 1. Okay? Which is equal to the limit of, okay, obviously your x with x will cancel out in the numerator, ito, at saka yan, and then negative 1 with positive 1, leaving delta x only in the numerator. Delta x all over delta x times the quantity square root of, nakikita ba ninyo? X plus delta x minus 1 plus square root of x minus 1 as delta x approaches 0. And like in the previous examples, we cancel out the common factor, which leaves, okay? And this one will give us now limit of 1 over the square root of x plus delta x minus 1 plus square root of x minus 1 as delta x approaches, okay, 0. What will this be? Okay, what will this be? Treat x as a constant, and we can only evaluate, or should I say substitute delta x with 0. So this one will give 1 all over, okay, square root of x plus 0 minus 1 plus square root of x minus 1, which when added will give, may space pa ba tayo dito? Let's see. Okay, so 1 over 2 square root of x minus 1. So if we find f prime of 1, what will it be? What do we mean by this? Okay, so here, the result is 1 over 2 square root of x minus 1. 1 over 2. But the problem requires f prime of 1. What is f prime of 1? What is f prime of 1? It's anyone? F prime of 1 is undefined. Yes? What does it mean by this? That the function has no tangent line at x is equal to 1. Wala siyang tangent line at x is equal to 1. Okay? Okay, you're right. Undefined. Florwell said undefined. So, if you go back to our previous slide, meron dun if otherwise the tangent line does not exist. Okay, so wala siyang tangent at the point or at x equal to 1. Wala siyang tangent line at x equal to 1. Bakit? Ano bang klase ng graph niyan? Wala siyang tangent line at x equal to 1. Now, last question before I leave you is go back to our, let's go back para may makita kayong pattern. May nakita ba kayong pattern? Let's just, okay, summarize. Okay, our previous example, number 1, was f of x is equal to x squared. Okay? X squared. And we found out that the slope of the tangent line, which is in fact f prime of x, is equal to 2x. Okay? Pakita natin yan. 2x ba talaga? Balikan natin sa example number 1 natin. Sa example number 1. Okay, look. What did we get for slope of the tangent line for the function x squared? 2x. Okay? Next, let's look at example number 2. Okay, example number 2. Okay. Example number 2 is, okay, take note, square root of x. Okay, let me write that. Is square root of x. Example number 2. We have the function f of x equal to the square root of x. Is there another way of writing square root of x using exponentials? This is the same as x raised to what power? Can you tell me? X raised to what exponent? Square root of x is the same as x raised to what exponent? Okay, 1/2. And what did we get? As f prime of x or the slope of the tangent line, balikan natin. Balikan natin si problem number 2. Anong sagot natin kay problem number 2? Okay. Ito ba yung sagot natin? Hindi. Dun sa next page niya. Ayun. Okay, I found it. 1 over, yan, 1 over 2 square root of x, diba? Okay, so 1 over 2 square root of x. So let me see if you are observant. Okay, so here the result is 1 over 2 square root of x or 1/2 x raised to 1/2. Sige nga. Is there another way of writing this? If I write this up, can I just move this up? Kung itataas ko to, ano siya? Magiging 1/2 x raised to what? What exponent? If I bring this up, if I want to raise this, should I say write this in the numerator? Is it the same as this? As negative 1/2? Are they equal? Are they equal kaya? Is this equal to this? You sure this is equality? Are we sure? Wala pang nagre-respond. Okay? Sure yan. Okay, sige na. Number 3, parang bilis. Number 3. Si problem number 3 natin kanina. Number 2 pa rin yan. Si problem number 3. Problem number 3, si 3x squared minus 4x. Sige, parang makita ninyo. Si problem number 3 kanina is f of x is equal to 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. Ang derivative niya ay 6x minus 4. Okay? Any observation? Any observation? Look, even if we did not work on it, I could just add number 4, although you could verify mamaya f of x is equal to 1 over x, then its f prime will be negative 1 over x squared. Ito ang kanyang derivative. I-check nyo mamaya. Bakit nasa abstract tayo? Saan na tayo? Okay. Ito ang kanyang derivative. Kasi, I could write this as, I could write this as x raised to negative 1. Earl Von, multiply the base to the exponent, then copy the variable, then deduct 1 from the exponent. Tama kaya? Sige, let's see. Okay, multiply the base. What is the base here? Although it's not written, this is implied to be 1. Tama? 1 multiplied to the exponent. Sabi niya, copy the variable. So, let me write 1 times 2 times x raised to, deduct 1 from the exponent. What is this equal to? 1 times 2. Huwag na tayong gumamit ng times kasi malito kayo sa x. Dot na lang. 1 times 2. Is it 2x? Oh yes, compare the 2. Yan, 2x, 2x. What can you say? Sige, yun yung observation ni Earl Von. How about sa second? Will it hold in the second? What is the implied base here? 1. That's the implied base. So, 1/2 times 1. Sulat ulit natin. 1 times 1/2 times x. Sabi niya, subtract 1 from the exponent. What will this be? 1 times 1/2 is 1/2. X raised to, what is 1/2 minus 1? That's negative 1/2. Isn't it this? Di ba pareho sila? So, if I would like to express this in terms of a positive exponent, then I could write it in the denominator, yes? As 1/2 x raised to positive 1/2. Ito yung sagot natin, hindi ba? Yan. 1 over 2 square root of x. Okay? Next! Paano ito? Ito, yan. Okay? What about this? Sige nga, check nga natin kung yung nakita nyo ay tama. Base, yan, si 3, di ba? 3 times 2 times x raised to 2 minus 1. Minus 4 times 1. Bakit 1? What's the implied power or exponent here? 1, di ba? 1. 1. Okay? Times 1 times x raised to 1 minus 1. Paano yung plus 1? Nung nangyari kay plus 1, di ba? I could write plus 1 as x raised to 0. Okay? So, plus, let's make it smaller. Ulit. So, 3 times 2x raised to 2 minus 1 minus 4 times 1 times x raised to 1 minus 1 plus. Okay, I could write this as x raised to 0. Correct? Because anyway, x raised to 0 is 1. So, plus 0 times 1 times x raised to, okay, anyway, this is 0. So, okay, 0 minus 1. Anyway, the factor 0 will make it 0 na. So, this one will give 6x minus 4x raised to 0 plus 0 because of the factor 0. And this one here, x raised to 0 is equal to 1. Is it the answer? Tama. See, compare the two. Okay? Compare the two. And finally, x raised to negative 1 will be, yan, negative 1 times 1 times x raised to negative 1 minus 1. When simplified, gives negative 1x raised to negative 2, which is the same as negative 1 over x squared. And that's it. Okay? So, that's it. Yun. So, your observation is correct. Okay? So, meron palang shortcut. These are the rules for differentiation. But actually, we can prove the rules by applying the definition. Okay, for example, bakit derivative of a constant is 0? Okay, we can show the proof in this manner. Okay, so for rule number 1, rules na tayo. Nasa lens na to, in-upload ko na. Derivative of a constant is 0. Derivative of a constant is 0. So, if f of x is equal to k, where k is any constant, then f prime of x, using the definition, is limit of f of x plus delta x minus f of x. Proving ito, let's prove that the derivative of a constant is 0. That if f of x is equal to k, then f prime of x is equal to 0. Let's show the proof by using the definition. So, from the from the definition rather, as delta x approaches 0. Okay, so f prime of x is equal to, what is this? Wala namang x dito, kaya walang isa-substitute. So, leave it as k na lang. Okay, k minus k all over, we forgot the word limit. Sorry. Limit of k minus k all over delta x as delta x approaches 0. What will this be? Limit of k minus k is 0 over delta x as delta x approaches 0. But what is 0 divided by delta x? It's 0. So, limit of 0 as delta x approaches 0. And from limit theorems, what did we say? Limit of a constant is the constant itself. Okay, so limit of 0 is equal to 0. And that proves the first, the first rule. The limit of a constant is 0. So please do not confuse it with, the derivative of a constant rather is 0. But limit of a constant is the constant itself. Okay, so we shall continue with rules of differentiation next meeting. Are there questions at this point? If you have questions, please feel free to message me. Okay? Thank you very much for joining me this morning. I hope you learned something today. Okay? Bye everyone. And stand by for your set of exercises in lens. Okay? Plus, ito pala, yung hindi natin nasagot kanina, I want you to show the solution to this problem. Saan yung nilive natin na item? Ito. Alam nyo na ang sagot dyan. Okay? Negative 1 over x squared, but still I want you to show the solution. Okay? Plus some more additional problems, I'm going to post it to lens. Okay, so that ends our session this morning. Thank you very much once again. See you next week. Okay.